Hello there everyone, it's your boy B3, back with another kicking movie reaction review. Today we are talking about Shin, Kamen Rider from 2023. I'm recording this the day after it dropped in theaters. It was one night only. I heard a rumor that they were going to play it again on one night due to popular demand, but I'm not sure. It also doesn't really matter to me because I already saw it and this video will be up by the time that day will have passed anyways, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm recording this the day after. It was really fun. I tried to record it and have the video live the night that I watched it, but that didn't really work out. It's another one of Anno's films. You know, the mastermind behind Evangelion, Shin Godzilla, and Shin Ultraman. I might compare it to Shin Godzilla some, but I admittedly have not seen Shin Ultraman, though my current boy toy has, and he says he said Shin Kamen Rider was more like Shin Ultraman than Shin Godzilla. I was just really tired on the one day Shin Ultraman was in theaters. Like, I would have fallen asleep in the theater, but I still do regret not going. But yeah, it's part of that whole Shin universe thing with Evangelion kind of shoved in there. But, it's pretty cool. Kind of a reimagining, but also really deeply rooted in Kamen Rider. It seems to me like Shin Godzilla, while kind of is a good film for people just getting into Godzilla and people who've been into it for a long time, Shin Kamen Rider seems more like a film for people who are already really into Kamen Rider. It starts really fast. Like, it just immediately throws you into it. There's no build up to anything. It immediately starts with like a motorcycle chase, and then it's like, hey, you're the Kamen Rider now. Let's go kill some Augs, which is what they call the Kaijin in this. They're calling them Augs. And he fights like all these same Kaijin from the manga. I'm going to be talking about it from the perspective of someone who has read the original Kamen Rider manga, and because I've watched a lot of Kamen Rider shows, but I haven't watched through the original. I'm not one of those people that's like, I don't want to watch Showa, because I love Showa. I like adore Showa. But I just haven't seen that specific one because it's the longest one. That's the only reason. It's one of the more readily available Kamen Riders in the States, and I'm glad Kamen Rider is starting to pay attention to its US audience and give us like official releases and stuff. But yeah, so I'm going to be comparing it to the manga a lot because, you know, it's a lot of the same Kaijin from the manga, which I'm sure are the same ones from the show. You know, my current boy toy who saw Shin Ultraman is actually currently watching through the original Kamen Rider without me. No, it's fine. If he was waiting on me, it would take forever to get through it. It's so many episodes. But yeah, so it's kind of written less like a movie and more like several episodic TV show episodes. So, like, you're thrown into it, and there's this little story about him fighting the Spider Ogg, and then there's a little story about him fighting the Bat Ogg, and then there's a little story about him fighting, like, Wasp Ogg. Which I think the Wasp was my favorite part, actually, the Wasp Ogg stuff. But yeah, it was all really cool. Story-wise, it had kind of a sad ending that was also kind of a happy ending, you know? A real emotional ending. It was really good. The acting, top tier. Top tier acting throughout the film. The episodic kind of weird structure of it is very unique for a film, and that might turn some people off. I know there's a guy that I work with that's a big Tokusatsu kaiju fan, and he was kind of turned off by that structure of Shin Ultraman. He didn't like that, so he probably didn't like Shin Kamen Rider either. I'll have to talk to him about it next time we work together. We work in different departments, so I don't always see him either. But the acting, absolutely spectacular. You'll definitely agree. Our two main actors, our male lead, he is like always shaking from like his trauma, and he's trying to hold himself back and stuff. And then our female lead, she like has trouble looking people in the eye, and it's like subtle but also quite noticeable if you're looking for it. The camera work is very spectacular. There are some points of the film where it might be a little hard to see something in a fight. It might make you a little motion sickness if you're watching it on a big screen. Might make you a little motion sickness. Might make you a little motion sick if you're watching it on the big screen. There was part of the final fight with the butterfly Ogg where I was like, ugh, okay. But it was a real visceral moment because the camera was real shaky, but they'd also kind of both run out of power, so they were just kind of both really weak and just smashing into each other. It was very intense. What an intense film. A very emotional film. And they would play... It had a great score. I did dig up the score on Spotify. It was a little... It was kind of like Shin Godzilla. The score isn't as good as Shin Godzilla's. Shin Godzilla's film score is insane, but it was like it in the fact that, Shin Godzilla took older Godzilla music that's iconic, that everyone expects, but also had its own music that was just for its film, like Persecution of the Masses and stuff that was like really excellent. So a great blend of the classic soundtrack from the franchise, but also new stuff for the specific movie. Kamen Rider here does the same thing. He's got, that vintage Kamen Rider theme that plays, and whenever it starts, ooh, God, I love those Showa theme songs, man. They sound so good. They will make you want to move. They really will. And whenever it starts to play during a fight, I'm just like, yes, just get him. Kamen those Ridos, dude. There were some great practicals in it. There was CGI in it. The CGI, when I was first watching the movie, I was like, this CG is not great. But then, whenever I watch a foreign film, I have to remember that the US has the biggest entertainment industry in the world, and the US has the biggest film industry in the world, and the budgets for our movies and the resources we have for our movies are just far more than a lot of other countries have. So I can excuse some of the bad CGI, I can kind of roll it back. It did have a good balance of like practical suits and CG and stuff. And there's some CG that looks really good. Like you probably saw this part in the trailer where he's on the bike and he's got his arms out and his coat is billowing in the wind and the wind is charging up his belt, his piranha, so that he can fight. He has to be activated by wind, which is pretty cool. And that looks really good. But then, like, just shortly after that... Actually, no, shortly before that, he's stuck on the wall with a spider web from the spider aug, and the web, like, does not look like it attaches to the wall correctly. Sometimes it doesn't look like it's attached to the wall really at all. But still, it's a good-looking movie. The choreography, magnificent. Character design, magnificent. The movie, it didn't really lag in any parts. You were always present. You never really zoned out. Actually, when I was watching it, it was a pretty good theatrical experience. It was a mostly full theater, which I honestly didn't expect, because I had to drive over an hour just to get to a theater, because I'm really rural. And it was a pretty damn rural theater, too. But it was the cleanest movie theater I'd ever been in my life. It was spick and span, zero stickiness on the ground when I walked into the theater itself and outside the theater. Super clean. Insanely clean. And everyone in the theater was super respectful. Not a single phone. They were super quiet, and they had very, like, normal, moderate reactions to everything happening on screen that weren't distracting me as a viewer. And I have, like, ADHD and ADD, so it's easy for me to get distracted. But the audience was perfectly well behaved, fantastic cinematic experience, really good. Probably because there were no kids there, which is a good thing, because there was a lot of blood. I wouldn't say there was a lot of gore, like you don't really see a lot of organs and stuff, but there was a lot of blood, and Kamen Rider can be like that. Even in the TV show that's for kids, Kamen Rider can just out of nowhere become immediately just brutal. It's even in the manga. Like, the manga's got some pretty tame art, but then suddenly Hongo will just rip a kaijin's arm off or something insane. Something just absolutely insane, So yeah, there is a lot of blood, especially in that first scene where he just slaughters all the soldiers for the spider aug. Dear Lord. And there's one, like, huge instantaneous mass murder that really made me gasp. A lot of crazy stuff. But you can definitely see references to other Kamen Rider stuff in there, like first shots and shots from, like, the opener. And if you wait till after the credits, there's even a little treat. It's not a scene, it's just a fun little thing, a fun little ditty. I'll let you figure that out for yourself. But the characters were great, and all in all, I really loved the film. There's some things to complain about, like, there was one part that I thought was kind of disrespectful. They show him in the trailers and stuff. Kamen Rider 2 is in it, and he's just as popular, if not popular, more popular than the actual original Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider 2 became a thing in the show because the actor broke his leg and they had to replace him for a bit, but they didn't want to recast him. And so they had Kamen Rider 2 show up. And he kind of took over the show, and he did the same in the manga. But in this, they team up together, and then he fully takes over. But when Kamen Rider 2 shows up, they kind of have him break the legs of Kamen Rider Ichigo. And it's like, hey, that's maybe a little disrespectful? That when Kamen Rider 2 shows up in the movie, you give the character that he replaced in the show the same injury of the actor? That was the reason they had to make the character in the first place? Is that maybe a little disrespectful? I mean, the actor, I believe, was fine, and he was fine. It was just a broken leg. Broken legs heal pretty easily, modern medicine, even in the 70s. I say that as if the 70s were that long ago. They really weren't, all things considered. But, you know, it's not like... I mean, it's a broken leg, but still, when I saw that, I was like, it's a little odd. It's a little creepy. But oh well. Oh well. But that and the CGI are really my only two complaints. The episodic structure of the film worked for me. It won't work for everyone. A lot of people will probably see that and be like, this is weird. This is a weird way to script a film. But it's fine. And also the theater I saw it in showed like 3 trailers for Kamen Rider. Not Kamen Rider Shin, for Shin Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider Shin's a little something else. Before the film, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, I had only seen the teaser. I was intentionally not watching other trailers. And the 2 trailers were really fast clips, but maybe a little spoilery. Maybe I learned a couple things about Kamen Rider 2 I didn't want to know. But that's it, I loved it. I'm glad I saw it in theaters. I would really love to see Shin Ultraman in theaters at some point, but... oh, to the well. Oh, to the well. Probably won't happen. I did pre-order a disc to have it home. Yeah, sorry I didn't get this up the night the movie premiered. I was doing it and then I had an issue, so I couldn't finish or upload the video. But I'll edit this one and get it up ASAP's nuts. I got him. That's it. Thank you all very much for your support, and I'll see you all, you guessed it, next time. Bye for now.